You ever get that feeling where the days just, I don't know, kind of melt together? Like you're physically there, going through the motions, but your mind is just a million miles away.
Absolutely. Scrolling, thinking about the next thing.
Exactly. Scrolling the to-do list for tomorrow feels like life's just fast forward and, well, we're just trying to keep up. Sound familiar?
Oh, definitely. It's a really common experience in our modern world, I think. We're constantly, bombarded information, demands. It makes it tough to really land in the present moment.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We want to unpack this idea of mindfulness.
Right.
This ability to be fully present right here, right now,
Yeah.
without judging it.
Just noticing thoughts, feelings, your body, what's around you, just as they are.
Yeah. And not like needing to fix it or change it immediately.
Exactly. And just to be clear, mindfulness isn't about, drifting off into the past or constantly worrying about what's next.
No escape.
It's firmly anchored right in this very instant.
Right. And, while it feels like a bit of a buzzword, maybe lately, this concept has really deep roots.
Oh, absolutely. Ancient traditions.
Particularly Buddhism, right? But now it's practiced, well, everywhere. In all sorts of ways.
Meditation, sure, but also just breathing exercises or even intentionally just slowing down a bit.
So for you listening, our goal with this deep dive is to really explore mindfulness. See it as maybe a practical way to navigate this busy world.
Find a bit more focus, maybe, and perhaps a bit more calm amidst all the chaos.
Okay, so let's unpack the problem first. Why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to stay present? It feels like our attention is just constantly being pulled everywhere.
It really does.
You've got messages dinging, social media feeds just refreshing endlessly, news alerts popping up. It's like a constant barrage. I definitely feel overwhelmed by it all sometimes.
That feeling, that's a very real consequence of, well, the world we live in now, this constant stimulation. It can lead us to almost forget how to simply be.
Forget how to be.
Yeah. We lose that connection, that feeling of being in the present, because we're always thinking about the next thing, rushing on.
In missing what's right here.
Exactly. Missing what's happening right in front of us.
It's true. I mean, think about how many times you've picked up your phone almost automatically.
Habit.
Yeah, pure habit.
Yeah.
Even when you're supposed to be enjoying a meal with someone or trying to focus on work, it's like a reflex.
It is like a reflex. And there's research, that shows this constant switching, this multitasking we all try to do.
Yeah.
It actually makes us less focused, more stressed, and ultimately less effective. Our brains aren't really built for that kind of constant juggling.
And it's not just about getting stuff done, is it? Yeah. I think a lot of our anxiety kind of bubbles up from this too.
How so?
Well, constantly replaying things from the past or worrying about what might happen way down the line. Like our minds are just filled with this static, this noise that isn't even about right now.
Precisely. Our minds can get stuck in these loops. Rumination, worry, pulling us further and further away from the present moment.
Okay, so this is where mindfulness comes in.
This is where mindfulness can offer a real shift. Yeah.
So how does it do that? How does it help when we're feeling so scattered and, distracted?
Well, at its core, mindfulness helps us to gently slow down. It's like a gentle nudge, bringing our attention back.
Back to now.
Back to the present moment. It helps us realize that, at this very instant, it's the only one we truly have.
The past is gone.
Gone. Future hasn't arrived yet.
It's like that little aha moment, isn't it? Realizing, hang on, I'm so busy thinking about everything else, I'm completely missing what's actually happening right now.
Exactly that. And what's powerful is that mindfulness isn't some quick fix. It's a practice.
Something you cultivate.
Right. It trains our brains, trains them for better focus, for finding those moments of quiet in the middle of all the noise, and for maybe letting go of things we can't actually control.
So it's a shift from just reacting automatically.
For responding with more calm. From feeling, all over the place to feeling more grounded.
From always doing.
To simply being.
Being present.
You mentioned that shift from doing to being, and it makes me think of those times. Like you're on a fantastic vacation, right?
Yeah.
But you spend half of it trying to get the perfect Instagram photo instead of just soaking in the view.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or even eating your favorite food.
Yes. But you're so distracted by your phone, you barely even taste it.
Such relatable examples. Or think about talking to someone, but your mind's already racing ahead.
Planning what you'll say next.
Or thinking about something else entirely. In those moments, we're not truly engaging, are we? Not with the experience or the person right there.
And it's those small moments, isn't it? They seem so small on their own.
But they add up.
They add up. And that's what life is. It's made of those moments. And if we're constantly rushing through them...
We're essentially rushing through life itself.
That's a really insightful way to put it. And it highlights why living in the moment really, truly matters. It's in the present where we find, genuine joy.
Peace. Connection.
Peace, real connection with others. It's where we truly feel alive.
Okay, so if we start to bring more mindfulness into our lives, even just in these small ways, what kind of benefits might we actually start to see? What changes?
Well, by cultivating this presence, we often find ourselves feeling more grateful, just noticing what we have.
Yeah.
Our ability to focus sharpens. We can engage more fully with whatever we're doing.
Makes sense.
We can connect with others on a deeper level because we're actually listening, paying attention.
Not just waiting to talk.
Exactly. And we start to notice and appreciate the small everyday things we might have just glossed over before.
It sounds like it's about sort of coming back home to ourselves, back to this present moment.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately back to what really matters to us.
Yeah.
Precisely. Because, like we were saying, this moment, it isn't just some fleeting gap between the past and future.
It's it.
This moment right here, right now, is our life. And mindfulness helps us to truly live it fully.
Now, you mentioned mindfulness isn't like a new invention. It feels like it's everywhere these days, apps, books.
Right.
But it actually has a pretty long history, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Huge history. While it might feel very modern, the roots of mindfulness, they stretch back over 2,000 years.
Wow. Where to?
Ancient India. It forms a central part of Buddhism.
Okay.
The spiritual tradition founded by Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. The term mindfulness itself is often a translation of an ancient Pali word, sati.
Sati. What does that mean?
It encompasses awareness, attention, and crucially, remembering the present moment.
So it wasn't just about sitting quietly meditating. It was woven into like a whole way of living.
Exactly. In Buddhism, mindfulness is part of a larger framework, the Noble Eightfold Path.
Right, I've heard of that.
It's basically a guide for living a life with wisdom, ethical conduct, mental discipline. Mindfulness in that context isn't the end goal itself. It's more a continuous way of relating to everything, thoughts, actions, experiences, with awareness and without judgment.
And for centuries, this knowledge was mainly kept within those Eastern cultures.
Yes, for a long time. These teachings were primarily found in Asian countries, passed down through generations, monks, practitioners, through meditation, chanting, spiritual study. It wasn't really until the 20th century that interest in these Eastern philosophies started to grow significantly in the West.
And who were some of the key people who helped bring mindfulness over, so to speak?
Well, several individuals played important roles, but Jon Kabat-Zinn is a particularly significant figure.
Okay, Jon Kabat-Zinn.
He's an American scientist and author. In the late 1970s, he started exploring how meditation and mindfulness could be applied, but in a non-religious way.
Secular mindfulness.
Exactly. To help people dealing with stress, chronic pain, illness. His key insight was that these ancient practices could offer real, tangible benefits outside of a purely spiritual context.
And that led to a specific program, didn't it?
Yes. In 1979, he developed the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, MBSR, at the University of Massachusetts Medical School. And this was a real turning point.
Why?
Because it provided a structured, evidence-based way to teach mindfulness, specifically for managing stress, anxiety, chronic pain.
How did it work?
Through meditation, simple awareness exercises. The core of MBSR is really about cultivating that sustained attention to the present moment without judging it.
And it worked. People found it helpful.
It was remarkably successful. The MBSR program showed that mindfulness could actually be studied scientifically
Right.
and implemented in mainstream places, hospitals, schools, workplaces. Then loads of studies followed, looking at the impact of mindfulness on mental and physical health, often with very encouraging results.
So it really shifted the view, didn't it? From something maybe purely spiritual or religious to something with real scientifically backed benefits for basically anyone.
Precisely. That success led to a much broader acceptance across healthcare, education, therapy, even the self-help movement. It moved beyond being just a religious practice. It became recognized as a valuable tool for anyone looking to improve their well-being, whatever their background or beliefs.
But even with all these modern uses, all the apps and courses,
Yeah.
the core idea, the essence of mindfulness, has stayed the same, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Despite all the diverse ways it's practiced and taught now, the fundamental principle, as Jon Kabat-Zinn put it, remains the same.
Which is?
Paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally.
It's amazing to think, really, that something as simple as just taking a breath connects us to this huge history, this global movement.
It truly is. From ancient meditation traditions to cutting-edge science and therapy, mindfulness keeps offering this fundamental message.
Yeah.
Be here. Be now. Be aware. And in that simple act of awareness, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Now, when people hear mindfulness, I think some pretty specific pictures pop into their heads.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like maybe someone sitting perfectly still, cross-legged, totally silent,
Yeah.
with a completely empty mind. But I know that's not quite the reality, is it?
You're absolutely right. There are several common misunderstandings about mindfulness. People often picture it as something very specific. And yeah, it doesn't quite capture what it's really about.
Okay, so let's try and clear up some of those images. What's one of the biggest misconceptions you hear?
One of the most common is that mindfulness is just another word for meditation, and that meditation always means sitting still in some specific, maybe uncomfortable pose.
Right, the lotus position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while meditation is definitely a powerful way to cultivate mindfulness, it's important to know that mindfulness can be practiced in, well, all sorts of ways. Throughout your day, you don't need to be in a formal pose to be mindful.
So we can be mindful while doing just everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Like washing the dishes or walking the dog.
Exactly. Mindfulness is fundamentally about how you pay attention, the quality of your attention to whatever you're doing, not necessarily what you're doing.
Okay.
For instance, drinking a cup of coffee. You can practice mindful coffee drinking. Really notice the warmth of the mug, the smell, the taste with each sip.
It's the how, not the what.
It's the quality of your attention that makes it mindful. You don't have to be perfectly still. You can be mindful while moving, walking, eating.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another common misunderstanding?
Another big one is the idea that mindfulness means emptying your mind, getting rid of all thoughts.
Ah, yes, the impossible goal.
Right. It's a common frustration for people when they first try, because the mind is naturally active. It's designed to think. Trying to force it to be completely blank is usually, well, not only impossible, but also kind of counterproductive.
So the goal isn't to have a totally clear head, like a blank slate.
Precisely. The aim isn't to suppress thoughts, but rather to become aware of them as they pop up, without getting carried away by them.
Okay. How?
Imagine you're sitting by a busy road, you see cars passing by, right? But you don't jump into every single one and drive off.
Right. You just watch them go.
Similarly, in mindfulness, you notice a thought appear. You acknowledge it, maybe, thinking without judging it, and then you gently guide your attention back.
Back to your breath, maybe? Or your body.
Exactly, back to your chosen focus. It's about cultivating awareness of your thoughts, not achieving the absence of thoughts. Awareness, not emptiness.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay, what about the belief that mindfulness is all about feeling calm and peaceful? Like all the time. Being totally zen.
That's another key myth. Life is full of all sorts of emotions, isn't it? pleasant, unpleasant, neutral.
For sure.
Mindfulness doesn't magically erase difficult feelings. It doesn't make stress or anger or sadness disappear. What it does offer is a different way of relating to those emotions.
How so?
Instead of automatically trying to avoid them or push them away or get completely lost in them, we learn to observe them with a sense of maybe curiosity and acceptance.
So it's not about never feeling anxious, but about how you deal with the anxiety when it shows up.
Exactly. It's about learning to acknowledge and accept whatever emotions are present without layering judgment on top. When we're mindful, we can notice a feeling like anxiety, maybe the physical sensations like a racing heart, without immediately labeling it bad and spiraling into more worry. This allows us to respond with more clarity, maybe more kindness, instead of just reacting impulsively or getting totally stuck.
Okay. Any other big misconceptions we should tackle?
Yeah, a few quick ones. Some people think mindfulness is only for certain types, monks or spiritual gurus.
Right, not for normal people.
But that's just not true. Mindfulness is a basic human capacity. We all have it. And the practice is accessible to everyone, regardless of background or beliefs. No special training needed to start. Also, the idea it takes loads of time. Not necessarily. Even a few moments of mindful attention spread through the day can be incredibly beneficial. It's more about intention and consistency than duration.
Little and often.
Can be, yeah. And finally, some see it as like escaping reality, avoiding problems. But actually, it helps us see our challenges more clearly, respond more effectively. It's about facing reality with more awareness, not running away from it.
Okay, so let's recap. Mindfulness isn't just formal meditation, it's awareness in daily life. It's not about stopping thoughts, but noticing them without getting hooked. It doesn't promise constant calm, but helps us be present with all our feelings, even the tough ones. It's for absolutely everyone. Doesn't have to take hours. And it's about engaging with life more fully and honestly, not escaping it.
Exactly. When we clear away these misunderstandings, I think mindfulness becomes much more approachable, more understandable. It's a simple, natural capacity we can all cultivate, starting right here, right now.
Mindfulness can sometimes feel a bit abstract, like this vague mental state. But it's fascinating to learn there's actual science behind how it affects our brains. It's not just a nice feeling. There are real, tangible changes happening up there.
That's absolutely right. While the practice itself might feel quite gentle, quite internal, the impact of regular mindfulness on the brain is very real and measurable. Over the past few decades, neuroscience has given us some really compelling evidence of these changes.
And some of the findings are pretty remarkable, aren't they? I mean, actual physical changes in the brain structure.
Indeed. One of the most well-known studies in this area, you might have heard of it, was led by Dr. Sarah Lazar at Harvard.
Okay, yeah. What did they do?
Her team took people who had no prior meditation experience and put them on an 8-week mindfulness program. They practiced mindfulness techniques, meditation, body awareness for about 30 minutes a day. And they had MRI brain scans before and after.
And what did those scans show? What changed?
The results were pretty significant. They found an increase in the thickness of gray matter in several key brain areas.
Gray matter, like more brain cells.
Essentially, yeah, more density.
Right.
Notably, the prefrontal cortex showed increased volume.
And that part is important for...
Crucial for higher level functions. Decision-making, concentration, self-awareness. Think of the prefrontal cortex as like the brain's CEO. Planning, focus.
Okay.
So this suggests that mindfulness practice can literally enhance our ability to concentrate, make clearer choices, even under pressure.
That's incredible. So it's like physically strengthening the brain's ability to focus and make good decisions, like working out a muscle.
Precisely. And that wasn't the only change they found. They also observed a decrease in the size and activity of the amygdala.
The amygdala. That's the fear center, right? The stress from thought.
Exactly. You can think of it as the brain's alarm system. So a less active, maybe slightly smaller amygdala can lead to a greater sense of calm, a more measured response to stressful situations rather than that immediate, maybe overwhelming fight or flight reaction.
It's the less reactive.
Less reactive, potentially. Someone who practices mindfulness regularly might find themselves feeling less rattled by, say, sudden loud noises or unexpected bad news.
So the brain actually becomes both smarter in terms of focus and decision making and calmer in how it responds to stress.
That's a very good summary, yes. And other research, like the work by Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin, has further backed this up.
What does his work show?
His research shows that mindfulness practice is associated with better emotional regulation, a more balanced emotional state, meaning people are maybe less likely to get stuck in negative emotions like sadness or anger for long periods.
And what are the real-world implications of these brain changes? How does this actually translate into our daily lives?
Well, these structural and functional changes can have a pretty profound impact, a more developed prefrontal cortex. That helps us stay focused on tasks, even with distractions buzzing around.
Like the phone constantly dinging.
Exactly, and a calmer amygdala. That means we might react less intensely to stressful events, allowing us to think more clearly, respond more effectively. It's like having a more resilient, more adaptable mental landscape.
You mentioned sleep earlier too, right?
Yeah.
How does mindfulness tie into that, scientifically speaking?
Yes. Research, including some published in JAMA Internal Medicine, has indicated that mindfulness practices can lead to improved sleep quality.
How?
Well, participants in studies often report falling asleep faster, staying asleep longer. This is likely due to the calming effect mindfulness has on the mind. It reduces that kind of overthinking, that worry loop that often keeps people awake at night.
Like training your brain to wind down.
Exactly. Training it to switch off more effectively.
And what about anxiety? We talked about the amygdala calming down, but how else does mindfulness help with anxiety from a scientific view?
Well, mindfulness directly addresses anxiety by training the brain to return its attention again and again to the present moment. Anxiety so often stems from worrying excessively about the future, right?
Yeah, the what ifs.
The what ifs. By consistently bringing our focus back to the now, we diminish the power of those future-based fears. Even simple mindful breathing exercises, as we discussed, can have a noticeable calming effect on the whole nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response.
It's amazing how something that feels so simple, like paying attention to your breath, can have such a tangible impact on our actual biology. Makes you think about the brain's ability to change.
It really highlights neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to change, to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life.
Like building new roads in the brain.
Kind of. Think of it like the brain being a muscle. The more you exercise it in a certain way, in this case, with mindful attention, the stronger those pathways become. Mindfulness practice strengthens the neural pathways linked to attention, self-awareness, emotional regulation.
So even just a few minutes of practice each day can start to build a healthier brain. Better focus, stress management, sleep, clearer thinking and feeling. It really is like a workout for the mind.
Absolutely, and it's accessible to everyone. The cumulative effect of even small, consistent efforts can be significant. The science is increasingly clear. Mindfulness isn't just some vague feeling. It's a practice that, over time, literally changes the structure and function of our brain, leading to tangible benefits for our mind, our body, our overall life experience. And it all starts with just paying attention to the present.
Okay, so we get the science. We understand the core ideas, why it's helpful. But how do we actually do this?
Yeah.
In the middle of our crazy busy days, it can feel like just one more thing to squeeze onto the to-do list.
That's a really valid point. And the good news is mindfulness isn't limited to those, formal sit down on a cushion meditation sessions.
Yep.
It's really about bringing a mindful awareness, that quality of attention we talked about, to whatever you're already doing. You don't need special tools. You don't need a perfectly quiet space. Just your intention to pay attention.
Okay, let's start with something really basic then, like breathing. You mentioned that's always there for us.
Yes, mindful breathing is really a foundational practice. Simple, powerful, always available. Should we try a very short exercise right now for anyone listening?
Let's do it.
Okay, so wherever you are, you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or just soften your gaze downwards. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Really feel your belly or chest gently rise. Maybe hold it for just a brief moment. And then exhale slowly through your mouth, noticing the gentle fall. Just notice the sensation of the air entering your body, leaving your body. You can do this anytime, anywhere.
Waiting in line.
Before a meeting, when you feel stressed, it's a direct way to just anchor yourself right back here in the present moment. Your breath is always with you. It's the quickest, most reliable tool for returning to the now.
Okay. What about something a little more active? You mentioned mindful walking before.
Yes, mindful walking is another excellent way to integrate mindfulness into your day. And you can do it practically anywhere you walk, down a hallway, across a room, outside.
What's the goal? Just walking slower.
The goal isn't really about speed or even the destination. It's about really experiencing the act of walking. Start by just standing still for a moment. Feel the contact of your feet on the ground. Then begin to walk, maybe a little slower than usual at first. Pay attention to the sensations in your feet and legs as you move.
Like the heel hitting the ground.
Yeah, the heel touching down and the sole rolling through, the ball of your foot, your toes pushing off. Notice your balance, the rhythm of your steps. If your mind wanders off, which it absolutely will.
Happens to me all the time.
That's totally normal. Just gently bring your focus back to the physical sensations of walking. You could even try syncing your breath with your steps if that helps focus. Even just a short mindful walk during a break can be surprisingly calming, grounding.
Okay. And what about something we do multiple times a day, like eating? We mentioned eating while distracted.
Right. Mindful eating is a wonderful practice, especially given how often we eat on autopilot, don't we?
Definitely. Lunch at the desk, scrolling.
Yeah, exactly. So mindful eating is about bringing your full attention to the experience of eating, one bite at a time. Next time you eat something, maybe try this. Choose just a small piece of food, a grape, a piece of chocolate, whatever.
Okay.
Take a moment to really look at it. Notice its colors, its textures, its shape. Then bring it to your nose. Notice the aroma. Finally, place it in your mouth. But don't chew immediately. Just notice the initial sensations on your tongue. Then, chew slowly, deliberately. Pay attention to the different flavors, the textures, how they change. Swallow gently. Notice the feeling as the food moves down.
Wow, it's paying attention.
It is. Mindful eating can help us savor our food much more. It can improve digestion, and it helps us become more aware of our body's actual signals of hunger and fullness.
Those all sound like really accessible ways to weave mindfulness into the day without needing to block out like an hour for meditation.
Yeah.
Are there any other small things we could try? Little mindful moments.
Absolutely. Think about routine activities, brushing your teeth. Notice the motion in your arm, the taste of the paste, the sound of the water, showering. Pay attention to the water temperature, the feel of it on your skin, the scent of the soap. If you find yourself waiting in line somewhere, resist that urge to immediately grab your phone.
Hard one.
It is, but instead, maybe just take 3 deep breaths. Observe your surroundings, the colors, the sounds, the people, even when you first wake up. Before jumping out of bed, take just 1 minute. Simply notice how your body feels. Notice your breath. These moments, they might seem small, insignificant even.
But they're opportunities.
They are opportunities to connect with the present.
It sounds like it's about shifting gears, doesn't it? Shifting from being on autopilot to being more consciously engaged with our own lives. Even in the simplest, most mundane tasks.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that these small moments aren't just, stepping stones to get to the next important thing. They are real, alive moments happening right now. And by bringing mindful awareness to them, we can gradually make mindfulness a more integrated part of how we live.
And it's okay if your mind wanders off.
It's not just okay, it's expected. The practice is in the gentle returning. Whenever it wanders, just gently guide it back. Over time, this strengthens our awareness, deepens our sense of calm, and makes everyday life feel, maybe richer, more connected. So whether you're walking, eating, breathing, or just pausing for a second, these are all invitations to slow down, be present, and return to the moment where your real life is actually unfolding.
Now, for many of us, especially maybe those listening who are learning English or learning any new skill, really, our minds can get incredibly busy. Lots of self-criticism, worry, How can mindfulness specifically help with something like language learning?
That's a really insightful question because our mental state, our mindset, significantly impacts how we learn and communicate. And language learning at its heart is about connection, isn't it?
Yeah, listening, speaking, understanding.
Expressing ourselves, all of that. Mindfulness can be a really powerful ally in this whole process.
Okay, let's start with listening. I know when I'm trying hard to understand, say, fast English, my mind just races, trying to catch every single word, translate it immediately, and I often end up missing the overall point.
That's a very, very common experience. Our minds often get caught up, don't they? Anticipating what's next, worrying about words we don't know, even rehearsing our reply.
Yeah.
And all that internal noise prevents us from truly being present with what's actually being said. Mindful listening helps quiet that down.
How?
It involves really focusing on the speaker, their words, sure, but also their tone of voice, maybe even their body language. Without that immediate judgment or that need to instantly analyze or prepare your response, it's about fully receiving what's being communicated.
So it's about just actually hearing what they're saying, not just the noise in my own head?
More than just the physical act of hearing, yeah. It's
Yeah.
about actively paying attention to the sounds, the rhythm, the pauses in their speech. When we listen mindfully, we're less caught up in our own thoughts, our own anxieties, and that allows our brains to process the information more clearly.
So it could actually improve comprehension.
It can lead to improved comprehension, yes,
Mhm.
especially maybe with faster speech or unfamiliar accents, because your mind is just more open, less cluttered with internal distractions.
Okay, what about the other side? Speaking. I know a lot of learners get really nervous about making mistakes or feeling self-conscious about their accent.
Absolutely. That fear of making mistakes, fear of not sounding perfect, can be a huge hurdle for many language learners. Mindfulness helps here by fostering acceptance. Acceptance of the present moment, which includes the reality that mistakes are, well, normal. They're an essential part of learning.
So it's okay to mess up.
It's more than okay. It's necessary. Mindful speaking involves focusing more on what you want to communicate, maybe one sentence at a time. Speaking with intention, clarity, prioritizing connection with the listener over delivering some flawless performance. This reduces anxiety, it increases confidence because you're less focused on judging yourself and more focused on the actual act of expressing yourself.
And I imagine it also helps with that negative self-talk, that little voice that says, I'm just so bad at English.
Exactly. Mindfulness helps us become aware of those negative thought patterns as they arise, without getting tangled up in them.
Hmm.
We can learn to observe the thought, there's that critical voice again. Acknowledge it without necessarily believing it wholeheartedly.
Right.
And then gently redirect our attention back to the present task. Whether that's listening to something, practicing speaking, working through an exercise, this builds emotional resilience. It helps us stay calmer, persevere, even when things feel challenging.
It sounds like it creates a more supportive internal environment for the learning process itself.
Precisely. And because mindfulness cultivates our overall awareness, we also become more attuned to the nuances of the language itself.
Like noticing new words.
New vocabulary, sentence structures, pronunciation patterns, even the cultural context. Our brains become more receptive, maybe absorbing the language more deeply. Ultimately, mindfulness can shift the motivation for language learning away from a place of fear.
Fear of failure.
Towards a genuine enjoyment of the process itself. Fostering a deeper connection with the language and with the people who speak it. It reminds us that effective communication isn't really about achieving perfect fluency. It's about being present, being authentic in our interactions.
You know, hearing about these specific benefits, I can definitely see how bringing that mindful attention to listening, to speaking, even just to the act of studying English could make a real difference.
It truly can. Just taking a conscious breath before you engage with the language, focusing fully on the task at hand, letting go of that need for immediate perfection, learners can create a much more positive, effective, and ultimately, I think, more enjoyable learning experience.
You shared a personal story earlier about that busy afternoon and finding calm just looking out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another example, maybe, of how mindfulness played out in your own life, perhaps in an unexpected way?
I do, actually. I remember a time when I was facing a pretty significant challenge at work. I felt completely overwhelmed. My mind was just constantly racing, trying to figure out a solution.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I was so caught up in the problem solving, I wasn't sleeping well, felt constantly on edge.
That sounds really stressful.
It was. I was pushing myself, think harder, think faster, convinced that sheer mental effort was the only way through. But I was actually getting more and more stuck.
What did you do?
Well, one evening, feeling totally drained, I decided to try a slightly longer mindfulness meditation than usual. Just focusing on my breath, allowing thoughts to come and go without, grabbing onto them.
And what happened? Did you have a eureka moment?
Not immediately. Initially, my mind was incredibly busy, full of worries, to-do lists, the usual stuff. But as I continued to just gently focus on my breath, I started to notice a little bit of space opening up between the thoughts.
The face.
Yeah, the thoughts didn't stop, but I wasn't getting pulled into them quite so strongly. After the meditation, I didn't suddenly have the answer to my work problem, but I felt calmer, clearer. Something had shifted. And then the next morning, just going about my usual routine, making coffee, a completely unexpected idea for tackling the challenge just sort of popped into my head, almost out of nowhere.
Wow.
It was a perspective I just hadn't considered before because my mind had been so fixated, so narrow in its thinking. That experience really taught me that sometimes the most effective way to solve a problem isn't to push harder, but to actually step back, create some mental space through mindfulness, and allow new insights to emerge. It wasn't about forcing a solution, but about creating the conditions for one to arise naturally.
That's a really powerful story, how mindfulness can help us see things from a completely different angle when we get stuck.
Exactly. It's about quieting down the loudest, most insistent thoughts so that maybe the quieter, more intuitive parts of our minds can actually be heard.
We also had a listener share a story, didn't we, about using mindful breathing during a really stressful English-speaking test.
Yes, that was a great example.
And it helped them regain courage and pass the test. It sounds like those small moments of just being present can have a really significant impact, especially when we're under pressure.
They truly can. That listener's experience is a perfect example. Mindfulness isn't about eliminating the stress or the anxiety completely. It's about creating a space within ourselves to navigate those feelings with more awareness, more composure.
How did the breathing help them, do you think?
By focusing on her breath, she was able to interrupt that kind of panic response, reconnect with the present moment just for a second, and that allowed her to access her knowledge, communicate effectively, despite the pressure cooker environment of the test.
It really highlights that mindfulness isn't about achieving some perfect, stress-free, blissed-out state, is it?
Not at all. It's about finding a sense of grounding,
Mm-hmm.
inner stability, even when things feel really challenging on the outside.
Yeah.
It gives us that little bit of space between the trigger, the stressful situation, and our automatic reaction. And in that space, we can choose a more thoughtful response.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Have I had moments where I've maybe intuitively used a bit of mindfulness without even calling it that, and it helped me through something tough?
I bet you have.
Or those brief moments of just really noticing something small, the way the light hit something, the sound of rain, and feeling completely awake and alive for a second.
Those moments of quiet awareness amidst the hustle and bustle. That's often our natural inclination towards mindfulness showing itself. We all have the capacity for presence. The practice just helps us cultivate it more intentionally, more consistently.
It's a nice reminder. It's not some weird foreign concept we have to import. It's something we're all capable of tapping into.
Exactly. It's about recognizing and nurturing those moments. Moments of being fully present with our thoughts, our feelings, our lives as they are unfolding right now.
Now, for many of us, I think the biggest sources of stress and that feeling of being mentally scattered come from work and school.
Oh, for sure. Deadlines, exams.
Meetings, projects, just the sheer volume of stuff we need to do. It often feels like there's absolutely no time to even think about pausing, let alone practice mindfulness.
That feeling of being perpetually short on time, it's a very common experience in today's demanding work and academic worlds. But here's the counterintuitive bit. Even brief moments of mindfulness can actually enhance our efficiency, reduce stress, and ultimately maybe save us time and energy in the long run.
By making us more focused.
By improving focus, reducing mental fatigue, helping us make clearer decisions.
Okay. You mentioned a 3D breath technique earlier. Can you walk us through that again, specifically thinking about how we could use it right in the middle of a busy workday or school day?
Certainly. The 3 deep breaths technique is incredibly simple, super practical. First step, consciously pause. Just stop whatever you're doing for a moment.
Stop. Sorry.
Second, take a slow, deep inhale through your nose. Really feel your lungs expand, maybe your belly rise. Third, exhale slowly through your mouth. And as you exhale, consciously try to release any tension you might be holding. Shoulders, jaw. Let it go.
Let it go. Repeat that 2 more times. The whole thing takes, 30 seconds?
Not long at all.
But it can significantly shift your state. Bring a sense of calm to your mind, your body. Allow for clearer thoughts. It's a great little tool to use before starting something challenging, like a presentation or a test.
Or between study sessions.
Between study sessions, before tackling a difficult email, it's like hitting a mini reset button for your nervous system.
That sounds so doable, even on the most hectic day. What about the 5 senses check-in you mentioned? How could that help when we're feeling overwhelmed at work or school?
The 5 senses check-in is fantastic for grounding yourself, especially when your mind feels like it's racing a million miles an hour or you're feeling anxious. Again, find just a moment to be still, even for a few seconds. Take 1 deep breath, then systematically bring your attention to each of your senses. Ask yourself, what are 5 things I can see right now?
And actually look.
Actually look around. Notice details, colors, shapes. Then, what are 4 things I can feel?
Feel, like physically. Physically, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the texture of your clothes, the air on your skin, maybe the chair supporting you. Next, what are 3 things I can hear?
Listen carefully.
Listen attentively to sounds near and far, even the quiet ones. Then, what are 2 things I can smell? Take a moment. Notice any scents. Coffee, perfume, fresh air. Finally, what is 1 thing I can taste?
Taste, even if I'm not eating.
Yeah, maybe the lingering taste of your last drink or just the neutral taste in your mouth. This whole exercise, it pulls you out of your racing thoughts.
Out of your head.
And back into your body, back into your immediate surroundings, back to the reality of the present moment. It's great for study breaks, waiting for a class or meeting, or even just switching between different work tasks when you feel your attention starting to drift. It refreshes your focus.
Those sound like really manageable micro habits, things we could actually weave into our routines without needing loads of extra time. Are there any other tiny mindful actions we could try?
Yes, lots. You could try taking just 1 conscious breath before you open your laptop in the morning, or before you respond to a message. Before answering a question in class or a meeting, just a brief pause. Notice your posture. Notice your breath. When you're walking between classes or offices, just for a few steps, pay attention to the feeling of your feet hitting the ground. Even something as simple as pausing and really noticing the taste and temperature when you take a sip of water, that can be a moment of mindfulness.
So finding those little opportunities.
Finding those little opportunities throughout the day, adding a moment of presence to what you're already doing. It doesn't necessarily slow you down overall. In fact, often it helps you move through your tasks with more focus, more clarity, less stress, better efficiency in the end.
So it's about intentionally layering that awareness onto the existing structure of our day. Rather than trying to carve out these big separate blocks of mindfulness time that just feel impossible to schedule.
Exactly. It's about infusing your current activities with presence. And remember, even in the middle of the most demanding day, a little bit of calm, a little bit of clarity, it can be just 3 deep breaths away.
Now, I know when I've tried to be more mindful, my mind often throws up all sorts of resistance, like roadblocks. I might think things like, oh, I just don't have the time for this, or my brain is way too busy, it'll never quiet down. What are some of the most common obstacles people run into when they're trying to start a mindfulness practice?
Oh, those are incredibly common experiences. And it's really important for listeners to know you are definitely not alone. if you face these hurdles. Thoughts like, I don't have time, my mind won't stop, I can't sit still, I always forget to do it, and maybe the big one, I'm just not good at this. They're very, very typical.
Okay, so it's normal. Phew.
Totally normal. The first step is just recognizing that. These are normal reactions, not signs that you're doing it wrong or that mindfulness isn't for you.
So how do we gently navigate these? Let's start with that feeling of, I just don't have the time. It feels like the schedule is already packed solid.
The key here is to start incredibly small. Forget carving out big chunks of time, especially at first. Start with just 1 minute. 1 minute of mindful breathing during a natural pause you already have in your day. Or simply bring awareness to 1 or 2 everyday moments like we just discussed.
Look for the pockets.
Look for the little pockets of time you already have, waiting for the kettle to boil, standing in line, walking to your car. Infuse those moments with a bit of presence. Even just a few seconds of mindful attention can be beneficial. It adds up.
Okay. What about the feeling that my mind just won't stop, that endless chatter? That can be really frustrating when you're trying to focus on your breath or something.
It can be, and it's crucial here to remember the goal of mindfulness isn't to stop thinking. That's not possible. Thoughts are a natural, constant part of the mind's activity. The practice is about changing your relationship with those thoughts.
Okay, how?
Instead of getting swept away by them or fighting them, you learn to simply notice them as they arise, as they pass, like watching clouds drift across the sky. And then gently, kindly, redirect your attention back.
Back to the breath or the body?
Back to your chosen anchor. It's about observing your thoughts without judgment, without getting tangled up in their storylines, just noticing and returning.
And for those of us who feel like we're just not good at this, it can feel like yet another thing to strive for, another thing to potentially fail at.
Right. But mindfulness isn't something you can be good or bad at. It's not a performance. It's not a skill to master, like, say, playing the piano. It's an experience. It's a practice of showing up and noticing. Every single time you bring your attention back to the present moment, even if it wanders away again 1 second later.
That's the practice.
That is the practice. You are practicing mindfulness in that moment of return. There's no right or wrong way to feel during the practice, just the intention to be present and the kindness towards yourself in the process. That's what truly matters.
What about just forgetting? Forgetting to even try to be mindful in the first place. Life gets busy, you get swept up.
That's where linking mindfulness to existing habits can be really helpful. Habit stacking, some call it. Try consciously incorporating a mindful breath or a moment of sensory awareness just before you do something you already do regularly, like brushing your teeth, making your morning coffee, sitting down at your desk, or maybe every time you check your phone.
Ooh, that could be often.
It could. But these small anchors, these triggers can serve as gentle reminders throughout your day, little nudges to come back to the present.
That makes it feel a lot less daunting. It's more about gentle integration into what we're already doing, isn't it? Rather than adding another big, demanding task to the list.
Exactly. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself in this process. There will be days when you feel more present than others. That's perfectly okay. Remember, you're not behind. You're not failing. You are exactly where you need to be in your practice right now. Mindfulness is a journey, not a race. The most important thing is just to keep showing up, even if it's just for a minute. 1 breath, 1 moment of noticing. It's about gently waking up to the life you're already living.
Okay, let's talk about technology. It's such a huge part of our lives now. An incredible tool, obviously, but wow, it can also feel incredibly distracting, almost addictive sometimes. How does mindfulness fit in with our use of technology? How can we be more mindful in our digital lives?
That's a really crucial question in today's world, isn't it? We're constantly interacting with our devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and it's so easy to just slip into these patterns of unconscious use, autopilot.
Yes, scrolling without even thinking.
Exactly. It's important to regularly pause and ask ourselves, am I intentionally using my technology right now? Or is it, in a way, kind of directing me? That constant stream of notifications, the endless scrolling, the automatic reach for the phone the second there's a pause, These habits can really contribute to feeling overwhelmed, anxious, feeling busy but not actually fulfilled, feeling strangely disconnected despite being constantly connected.
It definitely feels like we can get sucked into this digital vortex, and
Yeah.
suddenly hours have gone by, and you don't even know what you were doing.
Precisely. So, mindful technology use is about bringing intention, bringing awareness to our interactions with our devices. It's about making conscious choices. When do I engage? How do I engage? Why am I engaging right now? So that we remain in control rather than feeling controlled by the tech. It's about using technology as a tool that serves us rather than something that dictates our attention and our time.
Okay, so what are some practical boundaries we can set, or mindful habits we can cultivate in our digital lives?
Well, there are several strategies we can try. One key thing is consciously setting boundaries. Maybe turn off non-essential notifications.
The constant dings and buzzes.
Right. Just creating more quiet mental space. Maybe use app timers just to become more aware of how much time you're actually spending on certain platforms. Maybe set limits if you feel you need to.
What about specific times or places?
Definitely. Establishing no phone zones or times can be powerful, like no phones at the dinner table, or maybe not using it for the first hour after waking up or the last hour before bed. Just reconnecting with the physical world, with the people around you, or with yourself.
And breaking the automatic habit.
Yes. Before you automatically reach for your phone to scroll, just pause. Ask yourself, why am I doing this right now? What am I hoping to get out of this? That simple question can help break those ingrained automatic patterns and maybe schedule short digital breaks throughout the day. Step away from all screens entirely, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Stretch, breathe, look out the window.
That phrase really sticks with me. Use technology, but don't let it use you. It's about reclaiming that control, that agency.
Exactly. You can still enjoy all the benefits technology offers, but be more intentional about your engagement. Try watching just one video online, then pause. Reflect on it. Send a message, then take a breath before immediately jumping to the next thing. Post a photo, maybe, then put your phone away and be present in what you're actually doing. Really listen to a piece of music without simultaneously trying to multitask on your device.
Slowing down helps you notice more.
Slowing down allows you to notice how different types of content actually make you feel. And then you can make more conscious choices about what you're feeding your mind. Remember, your attention is incredibly precious. It's a limited resource. Mindful technology use is about intentionally directing where that attention goes.
It sounds like it's about cultivating a more conscious, maybe more balanced relationship with our devices, rather than just reacting constantly to every notification, every impulse.
Precisely. It's about choosing to check in with yourself first. How am I feeling? What do I truly need in this moment? Instead of always automatically checking your screen. It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, your focus for the things and the people that truly matter to you. And hey, it doesn't require perfection. Even small, consistent steps towards more present engagement in the digital world can make a huge difference over time.
So maybe next time the phone lights up.
Pause. Just pause for a beat. Ask yourself, do I truly need to respond right now? Is engaging with this the most nourishing thing I could do for myself in this moment? Sometimes, the most valuable connection we can make is actually with the silence, the stillness of the present moment, not with the screen.
Words can be incredibly powerful, can't they?
Yeah.
You shared some really insightful mindfulness quotes earlier. Do you have a couple more that you find particularly helpful or inspiring? Things we can maybe remember.
I do. Sometimes just a well-chosen quote can really cut through all the mental clutter, offer a fresh perspective, a gentle reminder of what's truly important.
Okay, let's hear one that resonates with you.
One that I often find myself coming back to is from the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh. He said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor."
Oh, that's such a beautiful analogy. Feelings like clouds, constantly changing, moving.
Yeah.
But the breath is always there. The anchor. That's very comforting.
It beautifully captures the impermanent nature of our emotions, doesn't it? Just like the sky remains vast and clear, even as different kinds of clouds pass through it, our inner sense of peace, our stability, it's always there. underneath the surface of our changing feelings, and conscious breathing. That's the simple yet profound tool we can always turn to, especially during those turbulent emotional times, to bring ourselves back to the present, find that sense of grounding.
I like that. Okay, do you have another quote, maybe something equally thought-provoking?
Yes, another one that often comes to mind is from Eckhart Tolle, the author of The Power of Now. He says, "Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have."
Wow, that's really direct. Very powerful. Realize deeply the present moment is all you ever have.
It truly is. It encourages us to fully embrace the now, doesn't it? Rather than getting caught up in regrets about the past which is gone or anxieties about the future which hasn't arrived yet. When we deeply understand, deeply internalize that the present moment is the only reality we ever directly experience, it profoundly shifts our focus.
How so?
We start appreciating the small things more, savoring each moment more fully, maybe breaking free from those often unhelpful cycles of just rushing, worrying, regretting. It's a call to truly inhabit the life that is unfolding right now, not live in our memories or our projections.
These quotes are like little nuggets of wisdom, aren't they? Things you can carry with you through the day.
They are. They offer that gentle nudge back to awareness. They can serve as powerful touchstones whenever we feel ourselves getting lost in thought or maybe overwhelmed by our emotions.
Now, to really solidify our understanding and maybe give everyone a direct experience right now, would you be willing to lead us through another very short mindfulness practice, something we can all do?
Certainly. Let's take just 2 minutes, another brief guided mindfulness exercise. Again, just find a comfortable posture, sitting, lying down, whatever works for you right now. Allow your hands to rest gently wherever feels natural. Soften any tension you might notice in your shoulders, your jaw. Remember, there's nothing you need to do here, nothing to achieve. Just allow yourself to be present in this moment. Now, gently bring your awareness to the sensations of your body. Notice the points of contact, where your body meets the chair, the floor, the bed. Feel the support beneath you. Now bring your attention to your breath. Just notice the natural rhythm of your inhale and exhale. You don't need to change it in any way. Just observe the gentle rise and fall of your chest or your abdomen. Feel the coolness of the air as you breathe in, maybe the warmth as you breathe out. Let's take one slightly deeper breath together now. Inhale slowly and fully, and exhale completely, releasing any tension you might be holding. Now, just let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Allow your awareness to gently scan through your body. Notice any areas of tension, maybe tightness, or areas of relaxation, ease. Perhaps you notice tightness in your shoulders or a feeling of ease in your hands. Simply observe these sensations without judgment, just noticing. If your mind wanders off, thinking, planning, remembering as it naturally will, just gently acknowledge where it went. And then softly, kindly redirect your attention back to the sensations in your body, or back to the rhythm of your breath. Allow yourself these few moments of quiet presence, just being here. Now, slowly begin to bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Maybe notice the sounds around you. You can gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Move your hands and feet slightly. Take one final easy breath. And when you feel ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Take a moment. Just notice how you feel right now, perhaps a little more settled, a little more aware, a little more connected to yourself. Remember that this short practice, it offers you a moment of calm, a moment of presence that you can access at any time.
That was another really calming pause.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, how quickly we can shift our state just with a few moments of focused attention.
It really highlights the immediate accessibility of mindfulness. Your breath, your body, this moment, they're always here. Even just 2 mindful minutes can be a powerful reset. And making these small pauses a regular part of your day can lead to really significant shifts in your overall well-being over time.
So, as we start to bring this deep dive into mindfulness to a close, what are the most important ideas, the key takeaways you hope our listener walks away with?
Well, I think the essence of mindfulness is really quite simple at its core. It's about paying attention to the present moment with a kind, gentle, non-judgmental attitude. It's a powerful way to perhaps reduce stress, enhance our focus, and cultivate more joy, more appreciation in our daily lives.
And remembering what it's not.
Exactly. Remembering it's not about stopping your thoughts or achieving some state of perfect, empty-minded stillness, but rather about learning to notice your thoughts, notice your feelings with kindness, and gently guiding your attention back again and again to the present.
Especially in this crazy, fast-paced world.
Especially then. In our world filled with distractions, mindfulness provides us with such a valuable tool, a way to slow down, reconnect with ourselves, and respond more consciously, more thoughtfully to our experiences. Using those simple anchors we talked about, our breath, our body, our direct sensory awareness, we've explored its rich history, we've cleared up some common misunderstandings.
And we even did a couple of short guided exercises.
Exactly. Practices that you can revisit anytime you need that moment of calm, that reset button.
And to help make this even more tangible, more practical, you've put together a little nudge, haven't you? A way for our listeners to try this out for themselves over the next week.
Yes, I have. Just a simple 7-day mindfulness invitation, kind of like dipping your toes in.
Okay, what does it involve?
So, day 1. Take just a few moments to write down one thing you're genuinely grateful for, and really notice the feelings that arise as you write or think about it. Day 2. Dedicate just 2 minutes to practicing mindful breathing like we did. Day 3. Choose one moment during your day to pause and fully engage all 5 senses. What do you actually see, hear, feel, smell, and taste right then? Day 4. At the end of the day, maybe before bed, jot down one positive thing that happened, no matter how small it seems. Day 5. Pick a routine daily activity, making coffee, brushing teeth, walking somewhere, and do it with mindful attention. Really notice the details, the sensations. Day 6. Give yourself a 15-minute tech break. Totally disconnect from all devices. Use the time to just breathe, stretch, look out the window, or simply be with yourself. And finally, day 7. Take a few minutes to reflect on your week. How did it feel to bring a little more mindfulness in? Did you notice any subtle shifts, any changes in how you felt or experienced your day?
That sounds like a really accessible, encouraging way to get started, or maybe to restart a practice.
Exactly. And remember, this is all about gentle exploration. Self-compassion. It's not about achieving some particular outcome or striving for perfection. Just trying it out, noticing what happens, and being kind to yourself along the way.
That sounds great. And we would absolutely love to hear about your experiences if you decide to try this 7-day invitation. Please do feel free to share your thoughts, your reflections in the comments section. We'd love to create a supportive space there.
Definitely.
And if you found this deep dive into mindfulness helpful, please consider subscribing to the show, maybe liking this deep dive, or sharing it with someone else who you think might benefit from it.
Mindfulness is a practice, remember, something that deepens with time, with consistency.
Absolutely. We truly appreciate you taking this time to explore it with us today. Thank you so much for your presence, for choosing to be mindful with us.
Thank you.
Until our next deep dive, remember, breathe deeply, notice often, and be kind to yourselves, always. Stay mindful and keep living fully in each moment.